an education-related announcement from him a little later. And we've got the Greens leader, Richard Di Natalio, here in the studio.
It's wonderful to be here with Luke.
Speak to him off the back of this media conference with the Prime Minister.
Luke's doing a fantastic job.
Thanks,
as the member for Petrie, and his re-election is of vital importance to the government and to the future of our nation, because Luke is committed to our national economic plan for jobs and growth. And we've been talking about jobs here this morning and recognising the fantastic work that HELP is doing here, bringing young people into employment. And the great work that employers like the Good Guys are doing, taking on the young people referred to them by HELP and getting them to develop those employment skills, that ability to achieve the employability that enables them to go on and achieve greater things in their life, more work opportunities, better jobs in the years to come. Now, we recognise that this issue of youth employment and youth unemployment is a very challenging one, very complex. And so in our National Economic Plan, as set out in the budget, we have a new program called PATH, Prepare, Trial and Hire. And we've been discussing that with the team here, and they're as excited about it as we are, because what that's going to do is enable job-active workers, job-active organisations like HELP to give young people the skills, a bit of hand-holding, as some of you are saying, a bit of confidence, a little bit of training, and then find them internships so that they get that experience of work, that experience of getting to work, working with others, building up their confidence that enables them to go on and realise their dreams. So it's great to be here in Brisbane. And this morning, as you know, some of you are there, we were at the markets and we were there talking about other aspects of our National Economic Plan for growth and jobs. We were talking about business, small businesses. Most of those businesses there are businesses, family-owned businesses. Many of them, I would say most of them, would be benefiting immediately from our enterprise tax cut. If not in the first year, then certainly in the second year. These are businesses that are founded on the hard work and the enterprise of businessmen and women, small businessmen and women, and we're backing them. There, in that big hall there in the markets, are many businesses who Bill Shorten does not want to support, does not want to support for a tax cut, does not want to support in the way we're doing. And of course, we discussed another aspect of our National Economic Plan there, which is opening up these big markets in Asia. Export trade deals, particularly in China, are really energising the export market for fruit and vegetables, soft commodities and services and many other things too. But right here in Queensland, we were talking to merchants there who are sending melons and every other form of fruit and vegetable up north into Asia, taking advantage of those great deals, supporting jobs and growth right across the country. That's our commitment. We're excited by it. We can see the enthusiasm for the growth that will bring and the wonderful opportunities that will bring for all Australians, including the young people here today with us. So it's wonderful to be here, Luke, here with you in North Lakes, and congratulations for the great work you're doing as the federal member.
Prime Minister, today's news poll shows fewer than 1 in 5 voters feel better off as a result of the budget. Do you accept you've still got a job ahead of you to convince voters that your plan is good for them?
We've got an election on the 2nd of July. We've got 8 weeks and we'll be talking about our National Economic Plan every single day. Jobs and growth, confidence, Australia, its future. That's what this election is about.
Prime Minister, Treasury modelling released as part of the budget last week and used to justify the company tax cut assumes that there are just 6 taxes, including a flat rate of personal income tax and the imposition of a hypothetical broad-based land tax. It also says the gains of the company tax cut can take 10 to 30 years to work its way through the economy. How realistic is it to expect that your National Economic Plan will deliver jobs and growth immediately when so much of it is based on an unrealistic scenario and pushed off to the never-never?
The cutting company tax, cutting business taxes, of course we're cutting taxes for unincorporated businesses as well, always drives investment and employment because you increase the return on investment. If you want to have more of something, lower the tax on it. If you want to have less of something, increase the tax. Bill Shorten wants to have less investment in Australia. Can you believe that? He wants Australians to invest less, and if they invest less, they'll employ less. That's why he's putting up the tax on capital gains. That's why he's seeking to ban negative gearing, standing in the road of entrepreneurship, standing in the road of entrepreneurship and enterprise that has enabled many of the small businesses to get started that will offer jobs to these young people now and in the years ahead. And let me say to you that it is very clear that as you reduce business taxes, you will get more investment and more employment. And it is the Treasury estimated last year, our Treasury, Australian Treasury, estimated last year that for every dollar of company tax cut, there was $4 of additional value created in the overall economy.
Mr. Labor is painting itself as the underdog. Is this your election to lose?
I'm focused on our national economic plan. I'm focused on the future of these young people and thousands of others like them. I'm focused on the future of those businesses we saw today at the markets, those businesses which deserve the backing of their government. Because I tell you, it is their enterprise, their confidence that is going to determine our future. It is their confidence that will enable them to invest and employ. And therein lies the recipe for our economic plan of jobs and growth.
Prime Minister, yesterday you gave quite a lengthy...
The poll today also shows... The poll today shows that women, those earning under 100,000 and those aged between 35 and 49, particularly feel that this budget doesn't do anything for them. What do you say to them?
Our national economic plan delivers jobs and growth right across the board for all Australians. Our national economic plan is already working.
It's working here.
It's working here.
Working right here now.
Yeah, working right here in Petrie. And can I tell you, we've seen the strongest growth over the last 6 months in employment for women. We've got the highest participation rate for women now in the workforce in Australia in our history. So we're seeing very strong growth, and that is 26,000 jobs in March alone. As you know, over 300,000 jobs last year. The confidence that we are building, the economic leadership we're providing, that is driving confidence, it's driving enterprise. And the biggest threat to that is the Labor Party, every policy of which is absolutely calculated to stunt investment and deter employment and stop our growth dead in its tracks.
Prime Minister, yesterday Abbott says this morning that he's happy to help out in any way you'd like him to in this campaign. What is it you'd like him to do?
He's committed to our national economic plan and he's backing it, as all our members are, and we look forward to every member and every candidate on our team backing our national economic plan, because they know that's the way for more jobs and more growth.
Prime Minister, yesterday you gave quite a detailed pitch for re-election, or your first election, I suppose. You didn't once mention climate change. Was that deliberate?
Well, it was intended to be a 10-minute address. It went a little bit longer, as politicians often do. But let me say to you, climate change is very important. And we have a good climate change policy. We are meeting our targets. We're meeting our 2020 targets. We'll exceed them, in fact. And we are well on track to meet our 2030 targets. Our plan is clear. It's part of a global agreement reached in Paris with all the nations of the world. It's costed. What Bill Shorten is proposing are a set of measures which will dramatically increase the cost on all Australians. Some of his measures, he does not know how much it will cost. His renewables target is extraordinarily high, and he has no costing on that at all. His emissions target is a unilateral near doubling of the level agreed to in Paris. And can I say to you that what Mr Shorten has overlooked is not just the economic interests of Australians, but the global objective. Everything changed in Paris, at the Paris Climate Change Conference. What happened there was remarkable. All of the nations in the world agreed to emissions targets for 2030, and each of them exerted some leverage on the other. And so for a person who wants to be, an opposition leader who wants to be Prime Minister, to say that Australia would unilaterally nearly double its target abandons all leverage we would have. The way these targets will rise in the future, and I believe they will, is by mutual agreement. And so one nation will say, we'll go up a bit more if you go up a bit more. And that is the way these agreements are put together. For Australia to go out on its own and nearly double its target would impose a huge cost on Australians and would abandon the leverage we have to get a stronger global response. He has failed to understand that we have moved from ideology in the climate change debate to one of practical negotiation and outcomes. And what we achieved in Paris was a good, practical outcome, and I believe those targets will increase over time. But unless everybody increases together, it'll be quite ineffective. So what he's proposing is bad for the Australian economy, it's bad for jobs and growth, and it achieves nothing in terms of the global climate change objective.
Won't these internships mean fewer paid jobs for these young people?
These absolutely not. This is all of the folk from Help here who understand this area as excited as we are. Let me say to you, the critical thing you need to do with young people who have not been in employment and who perhaps for whatever reason, lack of confidence, lack of experience, lack of skills, are not getting into a job, what they need is a chance. What we're giving them is the best chance to get started. And I have to say, I agree with the Brotherhood of St Lawrence, who was pretty scathing about the critics of this PATH scheme.
Yep.
It really is a very shameful thing that the Labor Party opposes it.
Yep.
If they cared about the employment of young Australians, if they wanted young Australians who are out of work to get into work and give them the chance to get into work, if they were really committed to more jobs and more growth, then they would back this scheme, they would back it right up to the hilt. Thank you all very much.